And good afternoon, everybody, and welcome here as we get ready for race number 7 here of the NRSL Reese's Late Model Series. This means after today's race, we've only got 3 more races until we determine our 4 champions in each one of our 4 classes. But we are getting ready here for our 7th race at Diablo Valley. This is a track making its debut here on this channel, and be interesting to see what kind of racing we can expect to see. 30 laps of racing. It's going to be the same rules as is normally applied this entire season with no caution flags whatsoever. It's basically a 30-lap dash to the finish. This track's a little bit over 2 miles long, and I'll tell you what, if last week was any indication of the kind of racing we'll see today, even though last week was a dirt track at Riverside, I think we're in for a pretty good race. Seth Cole lines up on the pole position overall. He's an RX driver, but he starts on the front row alongside of Jessica Shelton, who finished 3rd of the Class C drivers last week and comes in only 1 point behind Carson Gum in the standings for Class C5. You look at the rest of your starting lineup here. The highest starting driver for MG1 is John Cittadino, and Danny Wells, the highest starter for MG2. They're 18th and 20th respectively. You'll notice that there are 2 new drivers in the field, and this is due to a notification I received from NRSL owner Dylan Young that Daniel Voiles and his drivers are banned from NRSL events, and while I have an opinion on the whole thing, I'm not going to enter into it. Anthony McCurry now driving the 91 out of MG1, and Trent Dunham now driving the 97 out of MG2. So they're making their debuts.
Drivers, start your engines!
As we just got the command, and we're getting ready to go racing. Let's give you an overview of the points coming into this race. As far as Class C5, Carson Gum is your points leader, rolling off 4th overall here today. He leads by 1 point over Jessica Shelton, 6 points over Jake Haynes, who's been pretty quiet this season, and Johnny Gardner, after his C5 win last week, he's now up to 4th in the standings, only 8 points out of the top position. Dylan Poteet continues to dominate RX. He's got 7 points over last week's winner of RX, Nick Alton. Ian Dudd is 8 points back, with Jessica Villanueva 9 points back. Isaac Romero is now the new points leader of MG1 by 4 points over James Qualls and 7 points over last week's points leader in that division, Austin LaPlante. And then MG2 is Charles Sanford, still dominating that division, 8 points over Riley Anderson, who's now been replaced, so the points lead will probably grow. Zach Buchanan, the active driver that's the closest to Sanford, he is 15 points out. Here we go. They just crossed the line. We're racing here at Diablo Valley. For the points leaders in each division, the magic number for them is 10. If they can lead by 10 points after race 9, they've already locked up the championship in their respective divisions as whoa! Running off track, Jessica Shelton. Looked like Carson Gum also ran off the racetrack. And looks like everybody still is on track, at least for the moment, as Benjamin Miles moves to the front. Benjamin Miles looking for his 2nd win of the season in Class C5. 6 races, 6 different winners in C5. Dusty Allen right behind him. Dusty Allen started 2nd last week at Riverside and got taken out on the very first lap. Let's jump to the back, see if anybody's run into trouble. There's Jean Sanford. She's the last car on track, and she is still running, so apparently everybody's still good. A little close racing there between Cody Lamas and Luke Walker, but everybody so far so good. So Miles leads the way. Seth Cole, still leading RX, has slipped back to 4th overall, battling right now with Dylan Young. There's Jessica Shelton right now. She and Carson Gum would be tied for the points lead because she's 1 position ahead of him. Another car off track, that's O'Neill Baldwin. Stephanie Gardner trying to reel in Seth Cole. And there's Sam Young, who finished 2nd of the RX drivers last week at Riverside, just missed out on beating Nick Alton. And right now he's 3rd overall in RX, so he's having a good couple of weeks right at the moment. Dylan Poteet there for RX along with Kyle Matthews. There's John Cittadino still leading MG1. Cittadino looking for his 1st win in his class this season. And MG2, let's see who's leading that. It's still Danny Wells. Closest driver to compete for him would be Trent Dunham, making his debut there in that 97 car. So far, we have completed 2 laps. We're on to lap 3, and nobody's run into trouble yet. Everybody's been having a little difficulty as far as maneuvering the course. A few drivers have run off track, but for the most part, everybody's kept it pretty clean. And there's Jake Haynes. Right now running 2nd overall. He is 3 spots ahead, make that 4 spots ahead of Jessica Shelton. 5 spots ahead of Carson Gum. So as the points would stand right now, Shelton and Carson Gum would be tied. Jake Haynes would be only 1 point back. Like I said, he's been real quiet. He won a race earlier on this season, did Jake Haynes. However, kind of been under our radar as far as Class C5 is concerned, but he still is mathematically in the hunt. Benjamin Miles trying to get himself back in the hunt with a 2nd victory, and I believe now at least back through, well, there's Seth Cole. But I would say 9 of the top 10 spots right now are comprised of C5 drivers. Seth Cole just ahead of Carson Gum. Carson's not really concerned about the 44, he's more concerned about the 75 of Shelton right there. And Johnny Gardner had a taste of victory last week at Riverside. He wants more. He's looking for the 4th position underneath of Dusty Allen, as he's trying to get himself back up into championship contention. Only 8 points back after his win last week. And he'll clear Dusty for the spot. There's Dylan Young just ahead of him in 3rd place. Been a pretty dismal season for Dylan. Been involved in a lot of wrecks this season. He had a fairly decent run last week, but not exactly a good enough one to get him back into championship contention. Maybe he can do something here today. So we're going to jump and look at the rear of the field again, see if anybody's run into problems. Brandon Worth is way back here, along with Luke Walker, Gene Sanford, Cody Lamas. There's Charles Sanford. He's a bit of a ways back, but Charles Sanford, he's been able to kind of make it easy on himself in the fact that he'll have a couple good races, and then he'll have a bad race, then he'll have a couple more good races, then he'll have a bad race, and it's that kind of consistency that has allowed him to be able to still be the points leader. He's able to kind of cancel out the bad races that he has with the good races he's just had before that. So Charles Sanford right now is looking really good. At the moment, he is the driver with the highest advantage in his class. 8 points right now over Riley Anderson. As we mentioned, whoa, Brandon Worth a little wide off that corner. As we mentioned, Riley Anderson now replaced by Trent Dunham, so Sanford's points lead may continue to grow. However, Zach Buchanan is up here. There he is. He actually got around Danny Wells, I believe, for the top position in MG2. He did. See if anybody else is higher than him in MG2 class. Oh, Caleb Farrell's ahead of him, so he might be the MG2 leader. And he is, Caleb Farrell. There he is. 26th overall right now, and looking for his first win of the season in his class. Let's see if anything's happened as far as the other battles for classes. Last time I knew, John Citadino was still the MG1 leader, and that is no longer the case. James Qualls has gotten around him. Qualls looking for, I believe it would be his 2nd victory of the season. Might be his 3rd. I'm trying to remember. I know Qualls has at least 1 victory in MG1, that's for certain. There's Nick Alton, last week's winner from RX. Dylan Poteet, Stephanie Gardner, Sam Young, all still trying to run down the 44 of Seth Cole, who's been able to keep up to pace with the C5 drivers. Still got Ryan Cooper back behind him, as well as Joseph Strigley and Carson Gum and O'Neill Baldwin. So Sam Young's got quite a task still on his hands to try and reel in that 44. Meanwhile, up front, it has been all Benjamin Miles, but maybe not for long. Jake Haynes starting to reel in that 41. And he may get a run on him coming into this turn. Here comes Jake Haynes to the bottom. Who's going to get the run off this corner? Well, it's another left-hander, and Benjamin Miles swings way wide. He loses first, second, and now almost third to Johnny Gardner. Dylan Young now up to the second position, and Gardner clears Miles for third, so a costly mistake for Benjamin Miles, battling for the lead in C5 with Jake Haynes. And Jake Haynes has gone by for the top position. And right now as things stand, if I can bring up the ticker, let's see. With where they're running, Haynes would be, at the moment, he would be tied for the points lead, I believe, with Jessica Shelton. Carson Gum would actually have lost the points lead, as he is about three C5 positions behind Shelton. And here comes Dylan Young with a run to the inside, trying to get alongside the 28. He'll try and make a move into this corner. Dylan Young for his first win of the season. Wasn't able to quite draw alongside, and Jake Haynes with the preferred line into that right-hander will hold on to the top position, at least for now. Not much battling going on as far as RX. Seth Cole still continues to lead that with Sam Young in pursuit. Nick Alton's now moved up to third highest of the RX drivers, and one driver that's slipping back is Dylan Pote. Alton's trying to reel in Dylan Pote for the points lead in RX, and right now he will have chipped into that advantage just the least little bit. There's James Qualls still leading MG1. The car he's got to worry about is Austin LaPlante in the 48. Both Qualls and LaPlante trying to chase Isaac Romero, who is the current points leader in that class. As a matter of fact, where is Romero? There he is. He's a long ways back as the 88. Number of drivers are up ahead of him, including Prunes Littlejohn. Yeah, Cittadino, London, Ryan Acosta, as well as LaPlante, as Ryan Acosta just got off track. And James Qualls. So right now, Isaac Romero, I'm pretty certain he would lose the points lead to James Qualls at this particular point in time, unless he can get up there and pick up some spots. I think we have a new leader in MG2 class, and I believe that's Zach Buchanan. Right now 27th overall. Lisa Gonzalez trying to run him down. Where's the car that was leading, though? Oh, there he is. Caleb Farrell. He slipped back quite a bit. See where our two debuting drivers are. There's Anthony McCrory, 29th overall, and he's got a lot of MG1 cars to catch up to. Whoa, that was Joshua Osborne going a little wide through that corner. And McCrory right now about to catch up to an MG2 car. So he's running back here with the MG2 machine, so not having the best of runs in his debut in this series. And Trent Dunham not doing all that much better. There he is. Right now for MG2, let's see where he would be running. You got Zach Buchanan. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He is 6th highest of the 10 MG2 machines at the current moment is Trent Dunham. Trying to reel in drivers like Caleb Farrell and Danny Wells. John Acosta, that would be for position for him. Back up at the front, Sam Young going to work on, I believe that's Michael Norman. Yes, it is. Michael Norman, actually, I don't think I mentioned him yet. Yeah, that's an RX driver. He's actually second right now, I think, or is it Joseph Bryant? Oh no, we got a lot of RX drivers here, never mind. Sam Young actually lost some ground. He's fallen back behind Dylan Pote, Joseph Bryant, and Stephanie Gardner. Nick Alton, I believe, is now the car trying to reel in Seth Cole, and he's pretty close. So right now, trying to get by Carson Gum, or maybe trying to have Carson Gum help him get up there to Seth Cole. But Nick Alton trying to go for back-to-back wins here in RX, and the only thing he's got to do is get up there and catch the 44. Meanwhile, up here, we got the battle on for the lead, and it's over. Wow, Dylan Young blowing by Jake Haynes, as did Johnny Gardner. Jake Haynes must have really messed up that corner, and now Dylan Young to the lead, trying to become the 7th different Class C5 winner in 7 different races. Johnny Gardner right behind him, though, trying to go back-to-back. And that battle for RX is heating up very quickly. Seth Cole has a rear mirror full of Nick Alton, and Stephanie Gardner's not too far behind either. So that battle may be heating up very, very soon. There's Stephanie. Carson Gum, the points leader coming to this race, has certainly had his hands full. That car's been slipping and sliding around, and he's lost some track position against some of his fellow C5 drivers. There's Jessica Shelton. Now she is scored at the moment 6th overall. Jake Haynes ahead of her is only 3 positions ahead, maybe 4 if Ryan Cooper makes this pass, and he does. So Jake Haynes now only 2 points back from Jessica Shelton, who right now would be the new points leader leaving today with where they're currently running. And new leader, Johnny Gardner. Just got around Dylan Young. So they're swapping the lead quite a bit now up here at the front. And Johnny Gardner trying to go for 2 wins in a row as he has just recently thrown his name into the hat for this C5 championship. Speaking of lead, let's see if that battle for the lead in RX is heated up at all. Nick Alton still continuing to try and reel in the Napa Chevrolet of Seth Cole. You'll see right there, there he is. He's in the same shot as the 44. It's just a matter of time before he reels him in. Let's see exactly what the distance is between them. I believe he cut it down by about 2/10 that time, did Nick Alton. Just basically going on the scoring from distance of leader to these 2 machines. Seth Cole looked a little squirrely through that corner, and Nick Alton's closing up the gap. Let's look back and just see if MG1, if anything's going on there, if James Quall's still in command. Nope, there's a battle on there too. Austin LaPlante has reeled in James Qualls, and he's brought Ryan Acosta along with him. So MG1 battle is going on here too. So we've got battles going on in all the classes at the moment. James Qualls, Austin LaPlante, Ryan Acosta in MG1. Seth Cole, Nick Alton, Stephanie Gardner in RX. And then you got Dylan Young, Johnny Gardner, and Jake Haynes battling there for C5. Alton's on the back bumper of Seth Cole now. He may actually make a move there. Looked like Seth Cole messed up through that corner. Well, maybe not. Dylan Young's trying to reel in Johnny Gardner, who right now is in control, so we can leave that battle for the moment. We'll go back again here to this RX battle. Nick Alton looking to the inside. He won't have the preferred line going into this corner, though. And for the moment, that battle, well, maybe not. Nick Alton still within striking distance, and he's got the preferred line into this corner. Battle for the lead in RX. Nick Alton looks to the inside. He couldn't quite make it very well through the entry of that corner, and Seth Cole will keep in command of the RX lead for now. Austin LaPlante has gotten around James Qualls, however. That was the battle for MG1 lead. Ryan Acosta now moves into 2nd. Qualls now back to 3rd. What about MG2? Right now, Lisa Gonzalez has moved by Zach Buchanan for MG2 lead. And I think I just realized Lisa Gonzalez is a Daniel Voiles driver. Well, oh well. Got Zach Buchanan there in MG2. He's 2nd place. Anthony McCurry still trying to catch up to the MG1 drivers. John Acosta there, MG2. Caleb Farrell, there's a battle here for a position for MG2. Danny Wells and Trent Dunham, and Trent will give way to the 21. You got Luke Walker way back here. Gene Samper and Brandon Worth way behind there for MG1. Charles Sanford way back, 39th overall for MG2. And Cody Lamas right now is dead last in the 40th position. Johnny Gardner still in control. Let's see if that RX battle has come back. Nick Alton has actually gotten around to Seth Cole for the position. So Nick Alton trying to go for back-to-back RX victories. And he's got the top position for Class RX at the current moment. So now Seth Cole has to try and battle back. And that was a fail on my part. I did not mean to go to that camera angle. Wow, there's a nice view. Spectator cam. Gives you a good look at what this track really looks like. As we're following the 3 of Zach Buchanan trying to run down Lisa Gonzalez. Right there. Look up here. Let's see further up. Here is the battle for RX. Nick Alton right there, the white machine. Seth Cole, the blue machine. And then up here is, whoa, Benjamin Miles going wide. There is your battle for the lead in C5. Johnny Gardner now over Jake Haynes, Benjamin Miles, and Dylan Young has now slipped back to 4th. So as it stands right now, we are en route at this point for 2 back-to-back winners from this week and last week at Riverside. Johnny Gardner leading C5, Nick Alton leading RX. Austin LaPlante trying to pick up his, I believe it would be his second win of the season in MG1, and Lisa Gonzalez looking for her first win of the season in MG2. Jake Haynes, though, that sleeper, that C5 sleeper, he is right there. Now, as far as the points go, Jessica Shelton is currently running 5 positions behind Jake Haynes, which means she would still be the points leader. Haynes would be second, 1 point back. But Shelton may lose some spots here. Joseph Srigley and Ryan Cooper looking to the inside, and this move by the 98 and the 34 would move Shelton back to second in points behind who would be new points leader, the 28 of Jake Haynes. But Haynes wants more. He's starting to reel in Johnny Gardner for the lead. It's still Gardner the leader for C5. Alton's the leader for RX. MG1 lead is still Austin LaPlante, as though he's got Ryan Acosta right behind him. And MG2 right now is in the possession of Lisa Gonzalez. There's Zach Buchanan. He is second overall for MG2 as he's trying to reel in the 36. But he's got some cars to get by. MG1 machine of John Cittadino, and he's got the MG1 machine of Anthony McCurry right on his back bumper. Let's go back up to the front, though. That battle for C5 lead, I don't think that's going to go away anytime soon. Jake Haynes looks like he's on a mission as he's continuing to run right behind the 77. If the 77 with Gardner makes a move or makes a mistake, there's no doubt about it. Jake Haynes is going to be right there to pounce. That was a big issue last week, is when drivers ran into trouble, the field was so spaced out that sometimes a driver could spin out and still maintain his position. Case in point, Nick Alton last week spun out in the closing stages of the Riverside race, but was able to get the car refired and stay ahead of Sam Young without losing the top position of that class. So here at this race, though, it's not nearly as spread out. And that has allowed drivers to be able to capitalize on mistakes by their opponents just ahead of them. Right now, 9 of the top 10 spots are filled in by C5 drivers. The one driver that's not in the top 10 as a C5 machine is the points leader coming into this race, Carson Gum. Right now, he has scored all the way back in 15th. A number of RX drivers are ahead of him, including Sam Young, Michael Norman, Stephanie Gardner, Seth Cole, and the current RX leader, Nick Alton, in the 87. So this is not standing to be a good day for Carson Gum. However, it's looking like it's going to be a really good day for Jake Haynes, because Jessica Shelton has dropped all the way back to 8th last time by, which means at the moment, the way things stand, Jake Haynes by 1 point would be your current points leader. So he's got to hope that Jessica Shelton doesn't go picking up any more positions on track, as there she is trying to reel back in Joseph Srigley and Ryan Cooper. One position that she gains would have her tied with Jake Haynes with where he's running atop the point standings heading into next week. Boy, Jake Haynes, I don't know if he's just riding or if he's just waiting, because he has been right within striking distance of Johnny Gardner this whole time. He's peeked out of line a couple of times, but not tried going for it. Now he does. Almost made contact there with the left rear of Johnny Gardner's as he goes to the inside. Off this corner, can Gardner hang on to her? He can, and he'll take the preferred line into the right-hander and hold on at least for now. Well, maybe not. Here comes Jake Haynes back to the bottom, and Gardner slips a little wide through that corner. Dylan Young did the same. New leader, Jake Haynes in the 28. And don't count out Benjamin Miles, as those two, Gardner and Haynes, have been battling each other. Benjamin Miles has been slowly reeling in those two, and he could be a factor in this before all is said and done. But time's running short. 6 to go next time by. And look at Johnny Gardner with Benjamin Miles. Those two got a nice little run down this straightaway as they're going to try and reel Jake Haynes back in. We could have a three-man fight for the lead and the win here in just a moment. Jump back here. We've got Nick Alton still in command of RX, but Seth Cole is starting to heat that battle up. Ryan Acosta's gotten by Austin LaPlante. Where did LaPlante go? There he is. LaPlante's got to try and run down Acosta now, who has now moved into the lead for MG1. Ryan's looking for his first win in the MG1 class here this season. And then MG2, I think, is still under the command of Lisa Gonzalez, but I may be wrong. It is indeed. Zach Buchanan has lost a lot of touch with the 36. Lisa Gonzalez looks like, barring any mistakes, she is going to take the very easy win in MG2. We got to move back to the front, though. This is the big battle going on up here at the front. Johnny Gardner has now reeled back in Jake Haynes. Benjamin Miles kind of lost touch with the top two. All three of these drivers, I believe, are looking for their second wins of the season. Trying to remember where each one of them won at, though. Gardner, of course, I know was last week at Riverside. Benjamin Miles, I'm trying to remember which one his was. And for some reason, I cannot pull it in. It might have been, if I'm not mistaken. Wasn't it Taylor Swift Superdome? I don't know. Maybe it was. Johnny Gardner, though, back to the lead as he'll go underneath of Jake Haynes and easily takes the spot back. Benjamin Miles now going to try and make his presence felt up here in the top three, and Dylan Young is still within striking distance if something happens to these top three. Dylan Young trying to keep the streak alive of 7 different races, 7 different race winners. The top 3 have all won a race this season already. Jake Haynes, his goal is to try and be the new points leader, but he could really accomplish that with a second victory. Johnny Gardner, he's trying to put his name right up there in the middle of it for the championship hunt after his win last week at Riverside. He'll cross the line. We've got 4 laps remaining. It's going to come down to Gardner, Haynes, Benjamin Miles, and a questionable Dylan Young. For RX, Nick Alton still leads. Seth Cole trying to run him down, but Seth Cole really has not been able to reel in the 87 at all. MG1 may be locked up already. Ryan Acosta by quite a margin between himself and Austin LaPlante. Still be a pretty good points day for LaPlante, though. Isaac Romero not, well, as soon as I thought I was going to say he's not having the best of runs, well, he's 3rd overall right now in MG1. He's worked his way up. So, as soon as I think he's going to lose the points lead, Romero comes up here and surprises us. He's 3rd overall, and right now would still be in control of the points lead. And then Lisa Gonzalez right now running the highest of MG2, and yeah, Zach Buchanan, I don't think is going to be able to run her down unless her engine blows or something. But it looks like it's basically a runaway for most of the classes. There you see Nick Alton has opened his gap up between himself and Seth Cole, and Jessica Shelton just lost another position to O'Neal Baldwin, which is going to help Jake Haynes' cause of trying to take the points lead, but he wants more. He's going to battle here with Johnny Gardner in the closing laps to try and win this race. This is going to be the best battle on track, I'm pretty sure. I'm thinking Alton's going to take the RX win, Ryan Acosta's going to take the MG1 victory, and Lisa Gonzalez will take MG2. The question is, who's going to win C5? We've got about 4 competitors that are in the hunt up here as Gardner went a little wide through that corner. See if Jake Haynes can close the gap up at all. Benjamin Miles still there, Dylan Young still there, but they need something to happen. And Miles went wide through that corner. That slowed up his progress and Dylan Young's. And with 2 laps to go, it may be a 2-car fight between Johnny Gardner and Jake Haynes. Jake Haynes came into this race 6 points out of the points lead. Johnny Gardner 8 points out of the points lead. Both drivers stand to have a good points day due to the struggles that have been had by Jessica Shelton, who's right now 9th overall of the 10 C5 drivers, and Carson Gum, who's dead last right now on the field of the C5 machines. So both these drivers, regardless of which one wins, are both going to have a solid points day and close the standings up even more. But it's going to come down to which one of these two is going to go to victory lane for the second time this season, become the first multiple-time winner in the Class C5. Coming through the final left-hander, they'll go down... Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry. Yeah, they'll go down the front straightaway. I'm getting that confused with another turn. Crossing the stripe, here you see the white flag is displayed for Johnny Gardner. One last try for Jake Haynes, but I'm not certain he's even within striking distance at the moment. Johnny Gardner capitalized last week on mishaps by a number of C5 drivers that were out in front. Here today, though, he's had to fight for every position. And fight he has, and he's been successful. Johnny Gardner trying to go back-to-back here in 2 Class C5 events. Jake Haynes, the gap is dwindling between himself and Johnny Gardner, but it's not exactly a very big racetrack and not much time to be able to close the gap up, let alone pass the driver you're trying to catch. Johnny Gardner through the right-hander. Next is the final corner, the left-hander, and Jake Haynes is not close enough to make a charge. Out of the final corner, Johnny Gardner is going to come to the stripe and go back-to-back. He wins his second race of the season for RX. Or for for C5, I should say. RX winner will be Nick Alton. Here comes Ryan Acosta, his first win of the season. He will win MG1. And MG2, what a pretty dominating performance by the 36 of Lisa Gonzalez. She'll cross the stripe and win her first race of MG2. Johnny Gardner goes back-to-back in C5. Nick Alton goes back-to-back in RX. And Nick Alton, we talked about Jake Haynes, Johnny Gardner getting good points days to run down the current points leaders in that division. Well, Nick Alton, with back-to-back victories, he may be closing the gap up between himself and Dylan Poteet for the points lead in RX now. Let's see where Poteet finished overall for the RX machines. Seth Cole was 2nd, Sam Young was 3rd, Norman 4th, Stephanie Gardner was 5th, Ian Dutta 6th, 7th was Joseph Bryant, 8th was Villanueva, and Poteet was 9th. If my calculations are correct, Dylan Poteet lost the points lead in RX. Nick Alton's the new points leader by about maybe I think it's 2 points, actually. Cars are coming to pit road. So 2 first-time winners in their respective classes for Ryan Acosta in MG1 and Lisa Gonzalez in MG2. And then you've got back-to-back winners from Riverside last week and here today at Diablo Valley with Johnny Gardner for C5 and Nick Alton for RX. Now, as things stand, the way that I'm seeing it, Jake Haynes would be the new points leader heading into next week. He would have, let me try and calculate it here, Shelton finishing 9th, so that's 7 spots. No, make that 8 spots. So Shelton would be about 2 points, I think, behind Jake Haynes. Carson Gum would be 3 points behind Jake Haynes. And Johnny Gardner, with the victory, would find himself only 1 point behind Jake Haynes. So if I'm not mistaken, I might be wrong, but I think the C5 points heading next week, it's going to be Jake Haynes leading by 1 point over Johnny Gardner, by 2 points over Jessica Shelton, and by 3 points over Carson Gum. That is pretty doggone close. For RX, we're going to have a new points leader with Nick Alton, 2 points over Dylan Poteet, where Ian Dutta and Jessica Villanueva would factor into that, I'm not certain. For MG1, Isaac Romero, you notice here, Romero ended up finishing 3rd place out of the MG1 machine, so he'll keep the points lead there. LaPlante will close up the gap between himself and Romero to 6 points. James Qualls will be 5 points back. and I'm not certain where Ryan Acosta would factor into this with his win today. We'll find that out. And then for MG2, with Riley Anderson out of the series now, you got Zach Buchanan. He managed to finish really well, second place of the MG2 drivers. Let's see where Charles Sanford finished. There he is. So Zach Buchanan's going to close up about 8 points between himself and Charles Sanford, which means I think it'll be about a 7, maybe 8-point advantage between Sanford and Buchanan heading into next week as well. Trent Dunham ended up finishing 6th place of the MG2 drivers in his debut. Anthony McCrory ended up finishing, I believe, in 7th place in MG1 in his debut here in this series. But anyway, congratulations to our winners in each class. Johnny Gardner wins C5, goes back-to-back there. Nick Alton goes back-to-back in RX. MG1 honors go to Ryan Acosta, his first win of the season. And then you got Lisa Gonzalez, her first win in MG2. So the points are going to be super, super close for C5. They'll be fairly close for RX. They'll be somewhat close for MG1, and the gap will have closed up slightly for MG2. Thank you all so much for watching this race. We got only 3 more events before we end up having our season finale. Actually, no, only 2 more events before our season finale, and hope that you'll be tuning in for that. And I don't know where we're going next, but like always, it's going to be a surprise. So thanks everybody for watching. We'll see you guys next time here. You've been watching the NRSL Reese's Late Model Series on the NRSL Sports Channel. Offline racing at its best. Goodbye from Diablo Valley.